Paul, clearly a difficult day, a disappointing day for your team. What are your thoughts when you reflect?
Exactly what you've just said, Stuart, really. Nothing to cheer about. I see the fans' frustration and anger at we hear a little bit of it during the game, but at the end of the game, and I can't stand here and say that I don't agree with them. It's hard to put into words, really, in truth, in terms of what we've all witnessed this afternoon. You start off and I'm trying to give almost players a benefit of doubt. Is it nerves? Is it edginess? But as the game sort of goes on, it's just, a kind of nothing performance. And like I say, I'm not going to stand here and try and defend it or lie about it. I think we all, people that were here certainly, know what we witnessed, and it was a performance that was far from good enough.
It's 0-0. It would have taken a brave person perhaps to predict there would be a goal, given there had been little happening in terms of goalmouth activity, and then comes the red card. What are your thoughts on the red card for Tom Flanagan midway through the second half?
It's a silly challenge, ridiculous challenge. It's a sending off. The only bit I can say, and it still doesn't defend it in the slightest, and I'm certainly not attempting to, is these sort of situations can occur when free kicks aren't given. He's trying to let the game carry on, but he had one first half that he then didn't pull up, and we had no advantage whatsoever. Dan Udo gets blocked off, and he kind of playing an advantage. And I think he's trying to perhaps do it for the right reasons, but it's a lot simpler if you blow up. Again, maybe an understanding of who's on the ball. It's a centre-back. I'd rather have the free kick. But once we get to that point, he knows he's in the wrong. Flano, like I said, a ridiculous challenge, and again, not something that I can stand here and remotely try to defend.
And Wycombe ultimately made the most of their numerical advantage. It so often happens, doesn't it? A player comes back to a former club and scores, as was the case with Luke Leahy. From your point of view, both goals you conceded, what are your thoughts on those two?
Well, that one, which I think was the important one, again, we don't seem to be getting the rub of the green, certainly with any refereeing decisions. And again, that's not anything linked to our performance, by the way. But they take the free kick, they get it wrong, but then they get an attempt to do it again. People might look at the fact is Luke's on the edge of the box, but we're a man light, so it makes it harder to defend, to try and get pressure on the ball, and he slotted it away well, which I know that the fans here will have seen him do that in better circumstances. So frustrating, again, with how that transpired. And then the second, we've changed shape and kind of chasing a little bit to try and see if we can create something. And that just left a few gaps. Disappointing to concede, but at the same time, I think it's more difficult to be critical of that goal from my point of view when we are opening the pitch up.
I think back to the last home game here against Oxford, and you had so many good moments going forward that day. You created a lot of decent opportunities, good positions. Today was a different story altogether. Could you put your finger on why that might be the case today when there's so much at stake, such an important game?
Yeah, no, as I said, like Leicester, lacking in quality. The couple of times when we had any kind of moves, we kind of overhit crosses, or even a couple of situations where TP goes through, he's offside, but the keeper saves it anyway. Then we have one, and again, the best bit of play second half, how simple. Morgan Feeney gets the ball, plays it up the line, plays it forwards. So I can hear fans moaning about that. I'm with them. It was a message at half time. We continued to pass the ball backwards far too often. Didn't put their defence under any pressure, but that situation, a ball down the line, Tom Bloxham running towards their goal, then he kind of miskicks it, and then Dana ends up with a shot. But again, there was no quality to our play. It made it look, it was a very, very hard watch, and ultimately I'm the manager and I've got to try and do something about that. So I'm in a different position than what fans are. But at the same time, like I said, I'm sure feel like many of those do in terms of what we've just watched.
Is the fact you remain 6 points clear of the relegation zone the one consolation, if you like, to come out of it today, given that Port Vale were leading in their game and they've lost ultimately to Exeter, keeps that cushion at 6 points?
Yeah, I don't know, I've had a similar-ish conversation with quite a few people this week, and part of me is kind of sick of talking about other teams, and ultimately at the minute what it looks like is us relying on other results. That's not a nice feeling. You know, it's not a position that we want to be in. At the end of the day, it's where you finish in 2 weeks' time, I think it is. We'll all know where we are and as fate on that day. So yes, I guess that is a very small positive, but at the minute I'm struggling to get too upbeat, shall we say, about that situation as well. So at least it gets easier with a trip to Bolton.
Yeah, that's a tough one, isn't it? It's a real tough one to come on Tuesday. You haven't got too much time to get ready for that one.
Well, again, Flano's decision today, that's him now done. So that it's not only today that it impacts. And the way that Bolton play, I've just said, Marco will have a bad back on Tuesday night, if that's what we're going to produce. We might still get beat and beat well if we play at absolute top level, but this moment in time, it was a daunting game anyway. It's looking a lot more daunting now. So go back to, I think, when times are tough and what you look for and out there, which again I will question. You look for character, you look for leaders, you look for spirit, you look for pride. We've got to find a hell of a lot more in these, not only Tuesday night, but the two after that as well.